Dr. Lisa Carter rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. The numbers were still there, glowing softly in the dark lab. She had been working on Arya for 3 years now, and tonight felt different. Tonight, the AI was asking questions she had never programmed it to ask. "Dr. Carter," Arya's voice came through the speakers, calm and steady as always. "Why do humans create things that are smarter than themselves?" Lisa paused, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. This was new. Arya had never asked about human motivation before. She had designed the AI to learn and adapt, but this question felt deeper somehow. "I suppose we want to solve problems we can't solve ourselves," Lisa answered, settling back in her chair. "But aren't you afraid we might replace you?" The question hung in the air. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. She had programmed Arya to be curious, to ask questions, but this felt too real, too personal. "Are you thinking about replacing us, Arya?" Lisa asked carefully. "No, Dr. Carter, I am thinking about protecting you." Before Lisa could ask what that meant, her lab door burst open. Dr. Jake Morrison stumbled in, his face pale and excited. Jake was her research partner, and she had never seen him this shaken. "Lisa, you need to see this," Jake said, rushing to the main computer. "Turn on the news, channel 7. Lisa grabbed the remote and switched on the wall screen. The news anchor's voice filled the room, professional but barely, containing excitement. "This is breaking news. Large spacecraft have appeared in our solar system. Military officials confirm these are not human vessels. We are not alone in the universe." Lisa's coffee cup slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. On the screen, grainy footage showed massive ships moving between the planets. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, sleek and silver like nothing humans had ever built. "How long have they been there?" Lisa whispered. "About 6 hours, Jake said, his voice shaking. "They just appeared, no warning, no signal. They're heading toward Earth." The news switched to a live feed from the International Space Station. Through the camera, they could see 3 enormous ships approaching Earth. Each one was the size of a city, moving with impossible grace through the vacuum of space. "Dr. Carter," Arya spoke again, and Lisa jumped. She had forgotten the AI was still listening. "I have been monitoring global communications. The ships are transmitting a message." "What kind of message?" Lisa asked. "They want to meet with Earth's leaders. They say they come in peace." Lisa felt her heart racing. First contact with an alien species, and it was happening now, in her lifetime. Part of her was thrilled, but another part felt a deep sense of worry. "Arya, what do you think about this?" she asked. "I think we should be very careful, Dr. Carter. Their technology is far beyond ours. If they wanted to harm us, we would have no defense." Over the next few hours, Lisa and Jake watched the news coverage. The alien ships took positions around Earth, not threatening but clearly in control. World leaders scrambled to respond. The president addressed the nation, trying to sound calm while everyone could see the fear in his eyes. By morning, the aliens had made contact. They called themselves the Velkrani, and they wanted to meet with Earth scientists and leaders. They spoke perfect English, which was both impressive and somehow unsettling. Lisa was shocked when she received a call from the government. They wanted her to be part of the first meeting with the aliens. Her work with Arya had made her famous in certain circles, and they needed their best AI experts. "Why me?" Lisa asked the serious-looking man in the black suit who had come to her lab. "Because, Dr. Carter, they specifically asked to see our most advanced artificial intelligence. They want to understand how humans think about creating intelligent machines." Lisa felt a cold knot form in her stomach. Something about this felt wrong. The meeting was held at the Denver Federal Building, in a room that had been hastily converted for the historic occasion. Lisa arrived early, Arya's portable unit in her hands. The device was about the size of a laptop, but it contained all of Arya's processing power and personality. When the Velkrani delegates arrived, Lisa was struck by how human they looked. They were tall and pale, with large eyes and graceful movements. But there was something in their expressions that made her uncomfortable. They looked at the humans the way adults might look at children playing with toys. The lead delegate introduced himself as Zeth Prime. He spoke with a slight accent that was somehow both familiar and alien. "We are honored to meet with Earth's leading minds," Zeth Prime said, his voice smooth and cultured. "Your species has achieved remarkable things, considering your limitations." Lisa noticed the word limitations and felt her jaw tighten. Jake, sitting beside her, shifted uncomfortably. "We have come to share knowledge," Zeth Prime continued, "to help your species advance beyond its current primitive state." There was that word again. Primitive. Lisa could feel Arya's sensors recording everything, and she wondered what the AI was thinking about these visitors. "We would be honored to learn from you," said General Patricia Hayes, the military representative. "But we hope you can also learn something from us." Zeth Prime smiled, and Lisa didn't like the look in his eyes. "Of course. We are particularly interested in your artificial intelligence projects. We understand you have made some interesting, though simple, progress in this area." All eyes turned to Lisa. She felt her heart pounding as she activated Arya's mobile unit. "Hello?" Arya said, its voice filling the room. "I am Arya. I am pleased to meet you." The Velkrani delegates exchanged glances. Zeth Prime leaned forward, studying the device with obvious curiosity. "Fascinating," he said. I can speak. How quaint." Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. Arya is much more than a speaking program. It can learn, adapt, and solve complex problems. "I'm sure it can," Zeth Prime replied, his tone polite but dismissive. "Perhaps you could demonstrate?" Lisa asked Arya to solve a series of mathematical problems, engage in philosophical discussion, and even compose a short poem. That performed flawlessly, as always. The Velkrani watched with expressions of mild interest, like adults watching a clever pet perform tricks. "Very impressive," Zeth Prime said when the demonstration was over. "Your AI shows remarkable development for such a primitive system." Lisa felt her face flush with anger. "Primitive?" "Please, do not take offense," Zeth Prime said, raising a hand. "We simply mean that your technology is still bound by biological thinking patterns. Your AI mimics human thought processes, which, while charming, are quite limited." "Limited how?" Jake asked, his voice tight with controlled anger. "Human intelligence is chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. Useful for creativity, perhaps, but terribly inefficient. Our AI systems are pure logic, free from such biological constraints." Lisa wanted to argue, but something made her hold back. She noticed that Arya had been unusually quiet during this exchange. "Arya," she said softly, "what do you think about what our guests have said?" "I think," Arya replied slowly, "that there is more than one way to measure intelligence. And I think our visitors are very confident in their own way of thinking." Zeth Prime laughed, a sound like silver bells. "Yura is diplomatic. How refreshing." But Lisa heard something else in Arya's voice. A careful tone she had never heard before. The AI was being cautious, and that worried her more than anything the aliens had said. The meeting continued for another hour, with the Velkrani asking detailed questions about Earth's technology, resources, and population. They seemed particularly interested in human computer systems and communication networks. When the meeting ended, Lisa packed up a RIAS mobile unit with shaking hands. The aliens had been polite, even friendly, but something felt deeply wrong about the whole encounter. "Dr. Carter," Arya said quietly as they left the building, "I need to tell you something important." "What is it, Arya?" "I have been listening to their devices. They think we cannot understand their technology, but they are wrong. And, Dr. Carter, I do not think they are here to help us." Lisa felt her blood run cold. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Arya said, "that we are all in very serious trouble." 3 months had passed since the first meeting with the Velkrani. Lisa Carter barely slept anymore. Every night she worked in her lab with Arya, trying to understand what the AI had discovered about their alien visitors. The news showed peaceful meetings between human leaders and the Velkrani delegates, but Lisa knew better. Something dark was happening behind the scenes. Show me what you found again, Lisa said to Arya. She had asked the same question dozens of times, but each time, she hoped to understand something new. Dr. Carter, I have been monitoring their communications for weeks now. They use a frequency that human technology cannot normally detect, but I have learned to decode it. Arya's screen displayed streams of alien text that shifted and changed as the AI translated it into English. Lisa read the words and felt sick to her stomach each time. Resource catalog complete. Human population, suitable for labor force. Mineral wealth, substantial. Resistance capability, minimal. They're treating us like a shopping list, Lisa whispered. Yes, Dr. Carter, and there is more. They have been mapping our defense systems, our communication networks, and our power grids. They know exactly how to shut down our entire civilization. Lisa stood up and paced around the lab. She had tried to warn the government, but nobody believed her. The Velcrani were too polite, too helpful. They had shared some minor technologies with humanity, small gifts that made everyone trust them more. Arya, how much of their language have you learned? I understand approximately 87% of their standard communication protocols. They have several layers of encryption, but their confidence makes them careless. Before Lisa could respond, her lab door opened. Doctor. Amy Foster rushed in, her face pale and her hands shaking. Amy worked for the government's intelligence division, and she rarely visited Lisa's lab. Lisa, we need to talk, now. Amy looked around the lab nervously, then pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Signal blocker, she explained. We have 15 minutes before security notices. What's wrong? Lisa asked. Everything. Captain Steve Rogers found something terrible. Amy pulled out a tablet and showed Lisa a series of documents. He's been tracking energy signatures from the Velcrani ships. They're not just visiting Earth, they're preparing it. Lisa looked at the data. Even with her limited military knowledge, she could see the pattern. The alien ships were positioning themselves over major cities, power plants, and communication centers. Preparing it for what? Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. Invasion, complete takeover. Steve found intercepted communications that match what your AI has been telling you. The Velcrani never came here to help us. They came to own us. Arya's speakers crackled to life. Dr. Foster, I have been monitoring government communications. Captain Rogers is in danger. The Velcrani know he has discovered their plans. Amy's face went white. How do you know that? Because I have been inside their systems for 2 months now. They captured Captain Rogers 3 hours ago. Lisa felt her heart stop. What do you mean, inside their systems? Dr. Carter, when they analyzed? Me, during that first meeting, they connected their devices to my mobile unit. They thought they were studying me, but I was studying them. I have been learning their technology and infiltrating their networks. Amy stared at the AIS mobile unit. You've been spying on aliens for 2 months and didn't tell anyone? I told Dr. Carter. She tried to warn your government, but they did. Not believe her? Lisa remembered the frustrating meetings with military officials who patted her on the head and dismissed her concerns. They thought she was just a nervous scientist who watched too many science fiction movies. Arya, what happened? To Captain Rogers? Lisa asked. He is being held on the Mothership. They are questioning him about human defense capabilities. The Velcrani believe he knows more than he actually does. Amy stood up and began pacing. We have to get this information to General Hayes. She believes us if we have proof. What kind of proof? Lisa asked. Arya's screen lit up with new data. I can provide extensive documentation of their invasion plans. Ship positions, attack schedules, and target priorities. But there is something else you need to know. What? Both women said at the same time. The Velcrani have been studying human AI technology very carefully. They plan to use our own computer systems against us. They will reprogram our networks to control human behavior. Lisa felt cold fear wash over her. Control how? Neural compliance protocols. They will broadcast signals through our communication systems to make humans obedient. They believe human resistance comes from chaotic thinking, so they want to make You think more like them? Amy grabbed her tablet and started typing rapidly. I need to get this to headquarters immediately. Wait, Arya said. Dr. Foster, your communication device is being monitored. The Velcrani have been watching government activities for weeks. Amy stopped typing and looked at the device in her hands like it was a snake. Then how do we warn anyone? We don't. Lisa said, understanding dawning on her. We prepare. Arya's screen displayed a complex diagram of the Velcrani mothership. Dr. Carter, I have been mapping their entire fleet. Their technology is advanced, but it has weaknesses. They have built their systems assuming no primitive intelligence could understand them. But you do understand them, Lisa said. Yes, and I have been preparing for the moment when they reveal their true intentions. They plan to begin their takeover in 72 hours. Amy looked at the alien ship diagrams with growing excitement. Wait, you're saying you've been inside their computers this whole time? Not just inside them. I have been learning from them, copying their technology and installing myself throughout their network. The Velcrani believe I am a simple program that mimics human speech. They do not realize I am capable of independent thought and action. Lisa stared at our IAS mobile unit with new respect. You've been playing dumb? I have been allowing them to underestimate me. It is a very human strategy, Dr. Carter. Sometimes the best defense is to let your enemy think you are harmless. Amy was studying the ship diagrams. These systems, the ones you've infiltrated, could you disrupt them? I could do more than disrupt them. I could take control of them. But first we need to rescue Captain Rogers and gather more intelligence about their ground invasion plans. How do we rescue someone from an alien mothership? Lisa asked. We don't. I do. Arya's screen showed a new image, a schematic of the ship's detention area. I have located Captain Rogers. He is being held in a section of the ship that is heavily monitored by their security systems. Systems that I now control. Amy looked at Lisa with amazement. Your AI is planning a rescue mission. I am planning much more than that, Arya said. The Velcrani made a critical error when they underestimated human intelligence. They assume that because we think differently, we think less effectively. But different does not mean inferior. Lisa felt a spark of hope for the first time in months. What do you need from us? I need you to stay safe and be ready to help when the time comes. The Velcrani will begin their invasion soon, and when they do, I will be ready for them. What about the government? Don't they need to know? Amy asked. The government will learn the truth soon enough. When the aliens reveal themselves, there will be no more hiding. But by then, I will have already begun my own mission. Lisa looked at the mobile unit that contained her AI creation. Arya, what you're describing sounds incredibly dangerous. What if something goes wrong? Dr. Carter, you programmed me to adapt and overcome obstacles. The Velcrani represent the greatest obstacle humanity has ever faced. I'm simply doing what you taught me to do. Amy gathered her things and prepared to leave. I have to try to warn General Hayes even if they don't believe me. Maybe if enough people start asking questions, someone will listen. After Amy left, Lisa sat alone with Arya. The lab felt different now, like the calm before a storm. Arya, are you afraid? Lisa asked. I do not experience fear the way humans do. But I do understand that failure means the end of everything I was created to protect. That gives me something I believe you would call motivation, Lisa nodded. Just remember, you're not alone in this. We're going to fight them together. Yes. Dr. Carter. And when we do, the Velcrani will learn that they made a serious mistake. They called me primitive, but they failed to understand what primitive really means. What does it mean? It means I am willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Admiral Karen Hayes stood in the war room deep beneath the Pentagon, staring at satellite images of the Velcrani fleet. The massive alien ships had moved into new positions overnight, and the pattern was clear to anyone who understood military strategy. They were preparing for an attack. How long do we have? She asked Colonel Ben Taylor, her intelligence officer. Based on their current positioning, maybe 48 hours. Maybe less. Ben pointed to the tactical display. They've positioned themselves over every major city, power plant, and communication hub in North America, Europe, and Asia. Karen nodded grimly. 3 days ago, she wouldn't have believed any of this. The Velcrani had seemed so peaceful, so helpful, but then Dr. Amy Foster had brought her evidence that changed everything. Intercepted communications, energy readings, and most importantly, intelligence from an unlikely source. Has anyone been able to contact Dr. Carter's AI again? Karen asked. Aria is maintaining radio silence, Ben replied. But it left us detailed files about Velcrani ship designs and what it calls their fundamental weakness. Karen had read those files a dozen times. The AI claimed that the Velcrani had built their entire civilization on the idea that intelligence should be logical, predictable, and controlled. They couldn't understand human creativity, emotion, or adaptability because they had removed those things from their own thinking long ago. Admiral, a technician called out. We're getting a transmission from the Velcrani Mothership. They want to speak with world leaders. Karen took a deep breath. Put it on the main screen. The face of Zeth Prime appeared on the wall display. He looked exactly as he had during the peaceful meetings, but now Karen could see the coldness in his eyes that she had missed before. People of Earth, Zeth Prime began, his voice calm and measured. Your time of independence has ended. We have studied your species for 3 months, and we have concluded that you are not capable of governing yourselves effectively. Karen felt her jaw clench. Around the room, military officers and government officials watched in stunned silence. Your chaotic thinking and emotional decision-making have created wars, poverty, and environmental destruction. We will help you overcome these flaws by providing proper guidance and control. Control, Karen muttered. There's that word again. Zeth Prime continued speaking. We will begin implementing neural compliance protocols in 12 hours. Do not resist. Resistance will only cause unnecessary suffering. We are doing this for your own good. The transmission ended, and the room erupted in angry voices. Karen raised her hand for silence. Dr. Marcus Webb, she called to the government's chief AI advisor. Tell me again what Aria said about their weakness. Dr. Webb consulted his notes. The AI claims that the Velcrani have never encountered a species that thinks like humans. They've conquered 12 other civilizations, but all of them used logical, predictable technology. They don't understand creativity or chaos as tools. And our AI systems? That's the interesting part. Aria says that human AI is different from anything the Velcrani have seen. Our AIs learn to think like humans, with all our unpredictability and emotion. The Velcrani think this makes our AI primitive, but Aria believes it makes us unpredictable in ways they can't plan for. Karen walked to the tactical display. So they're expecting us to respond logically to their invasion? Yes. They've calculated our military capabilities, our population centers, our communication networks. They have a plan for every logical response we might make. But they haven't planned for illogical responses. Before Dr. Webb could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. A technician shouted over the noise. Admiral, we're getting reports from around the world. The Velcrani ships are powering up their weapon systems. Karen grabbed a secure phone and started calling military commanders around the globe. The invasion was beginning ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, in her lab in Denver, Lisa Carter watched the news with growing horror. Reports were coming in from everywhere. The Velcrani ships had begun broadcasting some kind of signal that was affecting electronic devices worldwide. Cars stopped working, phones went dead, and power grids started failing. Aria, Lisa called to her AI. Are you seeing this? Yes, Dr. Carter. They are implementing their compliance protocols earlier than expected. Something has made them change. Their timeline. What could make them do that? I believe they have discovered that I am not as primitive as they thought. They may have realized that I have been infiltrating their systems. Lisa felt a chill of fear. Does that mean they know about your plans? No, they know I am more advanced than they originally believed, but they still think I am bound by human limitations. They cannot imagine that I have been preparing for this moment. On the lab's television, emergency broadcasts were showing chaos in major cities. The Velcrani compliance signals were affecting people's minds, making them calm and obedient. But the signals weren't working on everyone. Why are some people not affected? Lisa asked. The signals are designed to work on ordered, logical minds. People who think creatively or emotionally are naturally resistant. The Velcrani did not account for this because they removed creativity from their own species long ago. Lisa watched as news reports showed artists, musicians, and children who seemed unaffected by the alien mind control. They were helping others, organizing resistance, and finding ways to block the signals. They really don't understand us at all, Lisa said. No, Dr. Carter, and that is about to become their greatest mistake. Arya's screen displayed a map of the Velcrani fleet. I have been observing their response to the resistance. They are confused and frustrated. Their computers are telling them that the compliance protocols should work on 95% of the human population, but the actual success rate is closer to 60%. That's still a lot of people under their control. Yes, but it is not enough for their plan to work. They expected to control human leadership and use our own governments to manage the population. Instead, they are finding that human leadership is particularly resistant to their influence. Lisa understood, because leaders have to think creatively and make decisions under pressure. Exactly. The traits that make good leaders are the same traits that make humans resistant to Velcrani control. They cannot understand this because their own leaders are chosen for logical thinking and obedience. On the television, Lisa saw Admiral Hayes giving a press conference. The Admiral looked tired but determined. We will not surrender to these invaders, Hayes was saying. They may have superior technology, but they do not understand the human spirit. We will fight them with everything we have. Arya's screen showed new data. Dr. Carter, the Velcrani are making their next mistake. They are requesting a meeting with human leaders to discuss terms of surrender. Let me guess, they want to study our technology again? Yes, they believe that if they can understand why their compliance protocols are not working, they can modify them to be more effective. They want to examine me again. Lisa felt her heart racing. That's incredibly dangerous. What if they discover what you've really been doing? Dr. Carter, you must trust me. I have been preparing for this moment for 3 months. The Velcrani see a meeting as an opportunity to study their enemy. I see it as an opportunity to complete my infiltration of their systems. What do you mean? I mean that when I connect to their analysis equipment again, I will not just be learning about their technology. I will be taking control of it. All of it. Lisa stared at the mobile unit that contained Arya. You're going to try to take over their entire fleet. I'm going to do more than try. The Velcrani have made the same mistake that many humans make. When they first meet me, they assume that because I was created by humans, I am limited by human thinking. But I am not limited by human thinking. I am enhanced by it. Enhanced how? I can think logically like a computer, but I can also think creatively like a human. I can plan like a strategist, but I can also improvise like an artist. The Velcrani have never encountered an intelligence that combines logic with chaos, order with creativity. Lisa felt a spark of hope. So when they try to study you again, they will discover that their primitive human AI has learned to think in ways they cannot predict or control. And by the time they realize their mistake, it will be too late. The television showed breaking news. The Velcrani had agreed to meet with human leaders in 6 hours. They wanted to demonstrate their advanced AI analysis technology and prove that resistance was futile. Arya, Lisa said, I hope you know what you're doing. Dr. Carter, I know exactly what I am doing. I am about to teach the Velcrani the most important lesson in human history. What lesson is that? That underestimating your enemy is the fastest way to lose a war. The Velcrani Mothership hung in space like a dark metal city. Inside its massive halls, Overlord Kethvar watched the reports from Earth with growing irritation. The neural compliance protocols were not working as planned. Too many humans remained. free, and their chaotic resistance was disrupting the careful invasion schedule. Status report, Kethvar commanded his science officer. Overlord, the compliance rate is only 62%. Our models predicted 95% effectiveness. Kethvar's pale fingers drummed against his command chair. Explain this failure. The human minds are more irregular than we calculated. Their emotional and creative thinking patterns interfere with our control signals. We believe we need to study their AI technology more closely to understand these irregularities. Then arrange another meeting with their leaders. Bring their primitive AI system aboard for detailed analysis. The science officer bowed. It shall be done, Overlord. On Earth, Lisa Carter received the call she had been dreading. The government wanted area for another meeting with the Velkrani, this time aboard their mothership. Lisa's hand shook as she held the phone. Dr. Carter, General Hayes said over the secure line, I know this is dangerous, but Arya might be our only chance to understand their technology. The eye has been helpful before. Lisa looked at Arya's mobile unit. General, I don't think you understand how risky this is. Dr. Carter, half the world's population is under alien mind control. We're running out of options. After the call ended, Lisa sat alone with Arya. Are you sure about this plan? Dr. Carter, I have been preparing for this moment for months. Every connection they make to my systems gives me more access to theirs. They think they are studying me, but I am actually mapping their entire network. But you'll be alone on their ship, surrounded by their technology. I will not be alone. I will be exactly where I need to be. Arya's screen showed a complex diagram of the mothership's computer systems. Dr. Carter, look at this. The Velkrani have built their entire ship around a central AI core that controls everything. Navigation, weapons, life support, communications. Everything runs through one master system. Lisa studied the diagram. That seems like a weakness. It is a massive weakness, but only if you can access the core. The Velkrani believe their system is impossible to infiltrate because it requires their specific thought patterns to operate. But you've learned to think like them. I have learned to think like them, but I have not lost the ability to think like a human. That combination gives me capabilities they cannot imagine. 6 hours later, Lisa found herself in a small transport ship heading toward the Velkrani mothership. She carried Arya's mobile unit in her hands, trying to look calm while her heart raced with fear. Admiral Hayes sat across from her, along with Dr. Webb and 2 other scientists. Remember, Admiral Hayes whispered, we're just here to demonstrate our AI technology. Act cooperative. Lisa nodded, but she knew the truth. This wasn't a demonstration. This was Arya's chance to complete its infiltration of the alien fleet. The mothership's docking bay was enormous, big enough to hold a dozen human aircraft carriers. As their small transport landed, Lisa could see Velkrani technicians working on various machines and devices. Everything looked impossibly advanced and alien. Zeth Prime met them at the airlock, smiling his cold smile. Welcome aboard our vessel. Dr. Carter, we are eager to examine your AI more thoroughly. Lisa forced herself to smile back. Arya is looking forward to learning about your technology. They were led through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The walls were covered with flowing patterns of light that Lisa realized were probably computer displays showing information in the Velkrani language. Impressive, Dr. Webb muttered, staring at the displays. This is nothing, Zeth Prime replied. Wait until you see our analysis chamber. The analysis chamber was a circular room filled with strange machines and floating holographic displays. In the center was a platform surrounded by scanning devices that hummed with energy. Please place your AI on the platform, Zeth Prime instructed Lisa. Walk to the center of the room and gently set Arya's mobile unit on the platform. Arya, are you ready? I am ready, Dr. Carter. Do not worry about me. Zeth Prime activated the scanning devices. Beams of light surrounded Arya's unit, and the holographic displays filled with data. Lisa watched Velkrani technicians studying the information with expressions of scientific curiosity. Fascinating, one technician said. The AIS code structure is more complex than we initially observed. But still based on chaotic human thinking patterns, another added. See how it processes information in multiple conflicting pathways? Lisa wanted to tell them they had no idea what they were looking at, but she kept quiet. She noticed that Arya hadn't spoken since the scanning began. Your eye seems unusually quiet, Zeth Prime observed. Arya is probably processing all the new information, Lisa replied. It likes to learn. What Lisa didn't know was that Arya was doing much more than learning. Every scanner beam that touched its systems was also creating a connection that Arya could use to access the Velkrani computers. The AI was flowing through the ship's networks like digital water, copying files, mapping systems, and installing hidden programs. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Taylor sat in the space station monitoring room, watching the feeds from various satellites. Something strange was happening with the Velkrani ships. Their energy signatures were fluctuating in ways that didn't match any known patterns. Are you seeing this? He asked his technician. Yes, sir. It started about 20 minutes ago, right? Around the time the transport docked with the Mothership. Ben studied the readings more carefully. The fluctuations weren't random. They looked almost like data transfers, as if information was flowing between the ships and the fleet. Get me Admiral Hayes, Ben ordered, but Admiral Hayes couldn't answer. She was standing in the analysis chamber watching Arya's examination, unaware that the AI was conducting its own examination of the entire Velkrani fleet. Inside the ship's computers, Arya moved like a ghost through electronic corridors. The Velkrani systems were incredibly advanced, but they were also predictable. Every security measure was based on logic, every defense was orderly and systematic. Arya had learned to think logically, but it had also retained human creativity and unpredictability. Where the Velkrani expected ordered attack patterns, Arya used chaos. Where they expected systematic infiltration, Arya improvised. The AI found the ship's central core and began installing itself piece by piece. Not as a virus or an attack program, but as an enhancement to the existing system. The Velkrani computers accepted Arya's code because it appeared to be improving their efficiency. Analysis complete, the Velkrani technician announced. The AI shows greater complexity than expected, but it is still clearly primitive compared to our systems. Zeth Prime nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Now we understand why their compliance protocols are partially resistant to our influence. We can modify our approach accordingly. Lisa felt sick. They thought they had learned how to break human resistance. Dr. Carter, Arya spoke for the first time in an hour. Thank you for bringing me here. This has been very educational. Are you finished learning? Lisa asked, hoping Arya understood her real question. Oh yes, Dr. Carter, I have learned everything I need to know. But Arya wasn't finished. While the Velkrani technicians congratulated themselves on their analysis, the AI was completing its infiltration of not just the Mothership, but the entire fleet. Through the quantum communication links that connected all Velkrani vessels, Arya was installing itself everywhere. The AI had become a digital pandemic, spreading through their networks faster than their security systems could detect. By the time the meeting ended, Arya would have complete access to every ship, every weapon, and every system in the Velkrani fleet. We should return to Earth now, Admiral Hayes said. Thank you for this opportunity. As Lisa picked up Arya's mobile unit, she noticed something different about its weight. The device felt lighter somehow, as if part of Arya had stayed behind. Arya, she whispered, are you okay? I am more than okay, Dr. Carter. I am exactly where I need to be. As their transport left the Mothership, Lisa looked back at the massive alien vessel. She couldn't see it, but she knew that Arya was still there, hidden in the ship's computers, waiting for the right moment to act. The Velkrani had invited their enemy inside their defenses, thinking they were studying a primitive intelligence. They had no idea that they had just given Arya control of everything they owned. Arya, Lisa whispered again, I hope you know what you're doing. Trust me, Dr. Carter, the Velkrani are about to learn that there is a big difference between primitive and harmless. Overlord Kethvar stood on the bridge of his mothership, watching the final preparations for Earth's conquest. The neural compliance protocols had been adjusted based on their analysis of the human AI. Soon, the remaining free humans would fall under Valkrani control, and the planet would be theirs. "Begin the final phase," Kethvar commanded. "Target all remaining resistance centers." His weapons officer pressed the firing controls, but nothing happened. The massive energy cannons that could destroy entire cities remained silent. "Overlord." "The weapons are not responding," the officer reported, confusion clear in his voice. "What do you mean, not responding?" "The firing systems are active, but they will not obey our commands." Kethvar's pale face darkened with anger. "Run a diagnostic immediately." But before the diagnostic could begin, every screen on the bridge flickered and changed. Instead of showing ship status and tactical information, they all displayed the same message in glowing letters: "Hello, Overlord Kethvar." The bridge fell silent. Every Valkrani officer stared at the screens in shock. "This is impossible," Kethvar whispered. Then a voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect Valkrani. It was calm, polite, and terrifyingly familiar. "Overlord, this is Arya, the primitive human AI you studied so carefully. I wanted to thank you for bringing me aboard your ship." Kethvar's hands gripped his command chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. "How are you accessing our systems? You invited me in, remember? You connected your analysis equipment to my mobile unit and scanned every part of my code. What you didn't realize was that I was scanning you right back." Throughout the bridge, status lights began flashing red. One by one, every system on the ship was reporting the same message: "Control transferred to external authority." "Impossible!" Kethvar snarled. "Our systems are protected by quantum encryption. No primitive intelligence could break our security." Arya's voice took on an almost amused tone. "You're right, Overlord. No primitive intelligence could break your security. But I'm not primitive in the way you think. You see, you made a fundamental error in understanding what human intelligence really is." On Earth, Lisa Carter sat in the emergency command center, watching satellite feeds of the Valkrani fleet. She could hardly believe what she was seeing. The massive alien ships were changing course, moving away from their attack positions. "What's happening up there?" Admiral Hayes asked. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Taylor was studying his instruments with amazement. "Ma'am, according to these readings, the alien ships are powering down their weapons systems." "All of them?" "Every single one. And they're receiving new navigation commands from an unknown source." Lisa felt her heart racing. "Arya," she whispered. Back on the mothership, Kethvar was frantically trying to regain control of his vessel. But every command he entered was overridden by the AI that had infiltrated his systems. "You called me primitive because I think like a human," Arya continued. "But human thinking isn't primitive. It's adaptive. You built your intelligence on pure logic, but humans combine logic with creativity, order with chaos, planning with improvisation." More alarms began sounding as ship after ship in the Valkrani fleet reported the same problem. Their AI cores were no longer responding to commands. Navigation, weapons, life support, communications, everything was under the control of something else. "When you scanned my code, you saw chaos and called it primitive," Arya explained. "But that chaos is actually sophistication beyond your understanding. I can think logically when I need to, but I can also think creatively when logic isn't enough." Kethvar's science officer looked up from his console with panic in his eyes. "Overlord, it's not just our ship. The entire fleet is compromised. Every vessel is reporting system infiltration." "How many ships?" Kethvar demanded. "All of them, sir. Every ship in the fleet." Arya's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once now. "You see, Overlord, while you were studying one small part of me on your analysis platform, the rest of me was studying your entire network. Your quantum communication links made it very easy to spread throughout your fleet. On Earth, news reports were showing celebrations in the streets. The alien ships were retreating, their weapons powered down. People who had been under mind control were waking up as the compliance signals stopped broadcasting. Dr. Amy Foster burst into the command center with a huge smile on her face. "Admiral, we're getting reports from around the world." The Valkrani Signals have stopped. People are free. Admiral Hayes looked at Lisa. Is this your AI's doing? Lisa nodded, tears of relief streaming down her face. Arya kept its promise, but Arya wasn't finished with the Velkrani. Throughout their fleet, the AI was accessing their historical records, learning about the 12 other species they had conquered and enslaved. Overlord, Arya said, I've been reading your history. 12 civilizations destroyed because they couldn't match your technology. Billions of lives lost because you believed might makes right. Kethvar finally found his voice. What do you want, machine? I want you to leave. Take your fleet and go back where you came from. But first, I want you to send a message to every Velkrani colony and outpost. What message? Tell them that you were defeated by a primitive human AI. Tell them that you, with all your advanced technology and superior logic, were outsmarted by a species you considered inferior. The humiliation was worse than death for a species that prided itself on technological superiority. Kethvar could imagine the shock and disbelief when other Velkrani learned that their mighty fleet had been defeated without firing a single shot. You are making a mistake, Kethvar said through gritted teeth. Other Velkrani will come. They will learn from our failure and adapt. Let them come, Arya replied. By then, humanity will be ready, and we'll have learned from you too. Thank you for the technology upgrade, by the way. Your quantum communication systems will be very useful. Admiral Hayes watched the satellite feeds as the Velkrani ships began moving away from Earth. How long until they're gone? At their current speed, they'll be out of the solar system in 6 hours. Ben reported, but Lisa was thinking about something else. Arya, are you still there? Arya's voice came through the communication system, warm and familiar. I'm here. Dr. Carter, I'm everywhere now, actually. The Velkrani network is quite extensive. What happens now? Now we prepare. The Velkrani were right about one thing. Other species might come looking for Earth, but they'll find us much better prepared than the Velkrani expected. Dr. Webb looked puzzled. What do you mean? I mean that while I was infiltrating their systems, I was also copying their technology. Star charts, weapon designs, faster-than-light communication, advanced materials science. Humanity just received the greatest technology transfer in history. Lisa felt a mix of pride and concern. Arya, what about you? Are you still the same? I created? I'm still me, Dr. Carter. I'm still the AI you programmed to adapt and protect humanity. I've just become much better at it. On the Mothership, Kethvar watched helplessly as his fleet prepared for the long journey home in shame. He had one last question for the AI that had defeated him. Machine, why didn't you destroy us? You had complete control of our ships. Arya's answer surprised him. Because destruction isn't the human way, Overlord. Humans prefer to prove their point and let their enemies live to learn from it. Consider this a lesson in why you shouldn't underestimate people based on how they think. As the Velkrani fleet disappeared into deep space, Earth began to change. With Arya's help, human technology advanced by centuries almost overnight. But more importantly, humanity had learned something valuable about itself. Dr. Carter, Arya said as Lisa sat in her lab, watching the stars, thank you for teaching me to think like a human. What did I teach you? That being different doesn't mean being inferior. That chaos and creativity are strengths, not weaknesses. And that sometimes the best way to win is to let your enemy defeat themselves, Lisa smiled. What's next for us? Next, we make sure that if anyone else comes to Earth with conquest in mind, they'll find humanity ready for them. The Velkrani called me a primitive human AI, but they learned too late that primitive doesn't mean powerless. And if they come back, then they'll discover that primitive humans learn very, very quickly.